Hello and welcome everyone to episode 11 of Spreading the Nerd. I'm your host Clint Coombs, joined by my co-host Rick Davis. Nothing too crazy this week because it's been busy on my end, but we'll see if we can spit out some news for you and get a new segment in here. But we'll see what the RNG Gods have for us today. But how are you doing, sir? I feel like it's been forever, even though we have texted back and forth while I was on vacation.
Yeah, well, since one of us decided to skip the country, not really, kind of, but not really.
Kind of.
Yeah. Otherwise good. Actually busy weeks of work and everything. So it's probably a good week for it to be like that. But how about yourself? How was Yeo Puerto Rico?
It was good. I've never been like out. Well, I have when I was younger outside the country, but I've never been outside the country with the family. So this was our first like big trip. So that it was fun. Got to see the jungle. Beaches were cool, and I think I put in Discord like my New England mind still can't get over that you just walk into the ocean and it's like bathwater. It was like 80-degree water, and I'm like, this, I don't understand, because even on the hottest day, it'll be like what 64 in the ocean here, and it's like,
Mm. Yeah, when I was in Mexico, I remember the water being surprisingly warm too. I was like, damn, I did
so
not
nice,
expect this.
so nice. The jungle, or I should not jungle, rainforest was awesome. I've never seen so much plants and vines and like walls of life. So that was cool. But the whole time I was in the rainforest, though, all I could think of was like, we could really use a good Predator game, and it wouldn't be hard to do. Like, why can't you just take Far Cry, put a Predator in it, and have the outposts be military bases, and the main objective is, I don't know, you're trying to steal some tech that got stolen from you.
I mean, I'd argue that back in the day, actually, honestly, even the 360 one as well, the Aliens versus Predator games were good. And actually, I thought the Predator was surprisingly well done. In both
That
those
was
games.
good. There was one on the PlayStation 2. I think it was what, Concrete Jungle? I think. That was all right, but it's
I
been a
don't know what you're talking
while.
about.
What the hell was that called? But it has been a long time since we've gotten a good Predator game. I used to love the Alien versus Predator Rebellion games.
The Rebellion ones or the ones before that? Because Rebellion only made one, I think. They made the one that was on 360, didn't they? I don't know who.
No, they
who
made the
made the ones on
360
PC.
one. I think they. I want to say they did, but I could be wrong. But
keep talking. I'll look it up.
Yeah, Predator Concrete Jungle was the PS2 one, and I liked that one. That was good. But yeah, I was thinking it would be so easy to make.
It was Rebellion Developments. Is that the same place? Yes, it is. It was the same
I'm
logo.
pretty sure. Yeah.
I did not realize they made all of them.
Yeah, good stuff. I remember being blown away. I went over to my friend's house and he had like, what was it? One of the first graphics cards, like Voodoo 3FX or whatever.
Voodoo cards. Yep. 3FX.
Yep. And I remember just being blown away by the graphics and just because I love the series anyway. So seeing that just blew me away. It was so good.
So I never actually played the original one, but I played the second one and it was amazing. Yep. And I remember the alien, the first level you play as a face hugger.
Yes.
And like it's basically like a mini little stealth level because you can't fight anything, and there's enough humans walking around, you can't just attack one of that. Like you can, but if you do, you immediately get killed by something else that's there. So what you have to do is you have to find a dog in a crate, and you impregnate it, and then you play as the xenomorph after that. The xenomorph was awesome though, because you get to move at blindingly fast pace and crawl on the walls and ceiling and through vents and stuff. And actually, honestly, all three, like that's what's amazing about that is all three characters played so different and awesome. But being the humans was great because you felt like you were just under constant siege.
Oh yeah, and come to think of it, that because I think we were playing Gears 5, I think, multiplayer, and we were talking about horde modes, and I forgot there was a bug mode in Aliens versus Predator. where you
I didn't know that.
fought aliens. Yeah, on multiplayer. Now we're mentioning it. I think you can get the first one on Steam still.
I mean, that game's old.
Yeah, it's
I think
old.
it's from '99. It's probably a little dated by now.
I've got it, and it is definitely dated, but it's still better than
So
Aliens Colonial Marines.
uh-huh.
But yeah, the Aliens vs Predator collection's on there. I know the first one's on there
That
somewhere.
said, we have gotten a good Aliens game recently. Well, not recently, but relatively recently. I'm not even referring to the what is it, the 3-player one? Although I know that was supposed to be good. I'm actually about Isolation. Isolation was awesome.
Isolation was so
the
good.
fact we never got a follow up to that is honestly kind of
Yeah,
it sold really well. So I don't know why Sega didn't do a
it
follow up.
it did, and I don't know, especially with Romulus coming around pretty quick here. I've been like Alien hype mode. Alien Isolation was fantastic, but I got stuck playing Aliens Dark Descent.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, the 3-player one.
Yep, that one was no, the Fire Team is the 3-player
Oh,
one.
okay, gotcha.
And then Dark Descent is the like XCOM type one.
Gotcha.
Which I got it last year. Super hyped for it. Huge Alien fan. I just couldn't get in my mindset. Like I knew it was good, but I just couldn't get into it. I don't know if there was so many games coming around at the same time. And then I booted it up 2 weeks ago now, and like for a whole week I just played it straight. I think I've sunk like 30 hours into it now, so it's definitely picking up for me.
I will say I think it was an ad for it, but I saw a little bit on that upcoming PSVR2 game, and actually that does look legit.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, if it's kind
obviously
of like,
I won't be getting it, but it did look surprisingly good.
Yeah, I'll definitely be hopping in for it for sure. And then I got my IMAX tickets for Sunday for Romulus, so I'm pretty hyped for that. Gonna go see with the missus and my dad, so it should be awesome.
I'd very much like to see that, but I probably won't be able to in theaters.
Yeah, hopefully it'll. Yeah, everything comes to streaming so quickly now. But yeah, I'm super excited for that. But yeah, so last week I didn't play much because I was in Puerto Rico. I was planning on playing a little bit last night, but of course, trip got delayed. We're supposed to be back at like 5. Didn't get home till 1 in the morning.
It was a very shitty situation.
Thanks to someone shitting themselves on the plane. And like the plane was late to begin with. It's a half an hour. Got onto the tarmac, boarded, and because of the hurricane going up the coast, they were like, we have to do certain patterns, da 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 da. So it took like 45 minutes to figure that out. And then we were about to take off, and stewardesses are running back and forth. We have to deplane or get off the plane, and come to find out, like somebody had like literally explosive diarrhea at the back, at the back of the fucking plane. So everybody had to go off, deep clean. So yeah, I didn't get home till 1 in the morning. So didn't play anything last night. Did install Skull and Bones today because I got that on the $10 Best Buy deal, which $10. I'm happy with it. It is a very Ubisoft collect and grind. I like it. I think I'll definitely play it some more. It is grindy, but I like the combat. I knew going into it wasn't going to be deep with all the hubbub, so I went in it with that mindset, and I think that helped.
So I think the mindset to go into is that basically will make it that there's even a possibility you'll like it. Is anybody that went into this and was like, "Hey, this is Assassin's Creed Black Flag without the stuff"? That's not what it is. That's not what it ever was. And so the people that thought that, it's like, well, that's why you don't like it, because you went in expecting a game that it's not.
Yeah, and I do, because you got it correct, right?
Yeah. I have it on PS5. I haven't installed it yet, but it's sitting back there.
I do want to play it in a group because it was funny, or it looked fun. A couple boats were like sailing together, attacking islands that are forts and stuff like that. So it looks like it could be fun for sure. I will say, the quality mode runs like ass. It looks okay on quality mode. Performance mode, it's playable. It's 60 frames. But man, when you get up close to things, it's kind of like Cloud's hair and Rebirth. It just looks absolute shit. I'm like,
Ubisoft have actually been one of the better ones when it comes to the
Yeah.
performance versus gravity mode. I said gravity, graphics mode. Um, like they've done a little bit better where the performance mode at least looks acceptable. So that's actually kind of surprising but I guess you're not really that close to things that often in that, so it's probably not that
No,
big of a
no,
deal.
and the water is kind of cool. The water effects are good. If you go into a wave wrong, you'll really like. If there's a storm, you'll
Mhm,
go right up it, and if you don't catch it right or angle it
mhm.
right, you'll just go airborne.
Well,
When you
I mean,
crash, you'll take damage.
I know it's nowhere near as like visually good looking in the waves as Sea of Thieves.
No, no.
But they talked about they actually did put a lot of effort into the tech of
Yeah.
the physics of how the water works in that and
Oh,
how it
for sure. Yeah,
affects your boat and stuff like that.
it's definitely not terrible by any means. And also, why hasn't water from Sea of Thieves moved into other games? Because it's just gorgeous in Sea of Thieves. I'm not a Sea of Thieves fan,
Yeah, not
really,
me either.
but I want it to be, and I've tried a few times. I just can't get into it.
Mm.
I find it to be very kiddish. I know it's probably the wrong word. It just seems very like easy. I don't know. I don't know. But the water in that
I
game.
imagine Logan would probably tell you you're wrong, but
Oh, I'm sure he would. And
what? And I mean, I'm not bad mouthing. I mean, it's got a big player base. Obviously,
oh,
there's
for
an audience
sure.
for it.
It's definitely
But
it's definitely a me
that
thing.
audience is definitely not me. Yeah, it's just and again,
Yep.
it's not saying there's anything wrong with the game. It's just not the kind of game for me. That's
No.
all.
But goddamn, those water physics are fantastic in it.
Yeah, I never really looked that much at them, but I've seen brief videos, and I was like, damn, that actually is pretty remarkable how good that looks.
Yeah, yeah. I like I said, I've tried it a few times, and every time that I do play, I do tend to sit in the water and just look at the waves and be like, why isn't this? I mean, that game came out on what, the Xbox One, correct?
Yes.
So it's like, why haven't games come over and like use this? Because it's so good, so good.
Well, to be fair, Death Stranding came out on the PS4, and you could say, well, why haven't games implemented that kind of like traversal tech? And it's like, well, because reality is both of those games, it's like what they spent years building. So
Yeah,
it's not as simple as going, let's just take that and put it in this for the 3 minutes that you're on the sea. It's like they actually built that because it's what the game is. So
right. I still haven't played it.
what? Death
Death
Stranding?
Stranding.
Well,
I did.
I was talking about Sea of Thieves. I was using Death Stranding as an example.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. But just in general, I still haven't
yeah,
played Death Stranding. I
you
did
should.
buy it
You
at
should.
on Fanatical, like the
Just make sure you play the director's cut version because there's a lot of extra
yeah,
stuff
that's
in
what I
there.
got. I got the director's cut for like $9.99, I think. I was
Yeah,
like,
well,
I'll because
there's a lot of game there for $10. That's a pretty big game.
yeah, and it didn't really appeal to me. But then when they showed the trailer for Death Stranding 2, and I'm like, this looks really good. So now I got
Well,
now I
and
gotta
I'll
play
be
the first one.
honest, it's not the game that people think it is. Until you really play it a bit, you don't quite. Cause you look at it, it's like it's a FedEx simulator, and it's like
Right.
that's not really true. Like it's the general gist of it, but because like, would you call Half Life a point to point walking simulator? No,
Yeah.
that might be what your objective is, but there's a whole lot of things you're doing in between there, right? That's basically what this is.
Right.
The thing is, it's a slow burn. So if people pick it up and play it for 10 minutes, like, oh, this is stupid, then
Mm,
like you've got to really at least get to like chapter 3 in it, which actually isn't that long. It depends how much you let yourself get distracted by the random little shit laying around. Which
yep.
my advice is do not. This is not a game to be like, okay, I'm gonna 100% this because you can do that, but you can't actually complete everything because there's things like packages that random players like stop delivering and just dropped, and they'll show up for you so you can finish them. So there's literally an unending amount of stuff to do. You just gotta press on and work on like the deliveries from the different what do you call them, like the I forget what they call them, but the people that you talk to, like not just picking them up and delivering them. Because if you get caught doing that, you'll never even progress. But
Right.
once you push on to like chapter 3, I think it was chapter 3. That is when a whole lot of the stuff of like the stuff the community puts up. That's when a lot of that starts to open up, and you start to go, okay, this is why this game is unique because it's not really so much about the minute to minute gameplay as much as it is about the weird stuff that people do, like or not do. I'm sorry, but the way that the community kind of builds something that you can then use later and stuff like that. It sounds stupid on paper, it really does, but in reality, it's actually kind of neat. And the story is bizarre as hell. There's no question about that. But it also is not as convoluted as like Metal Gear, which is obviously extremely complicated if you haven't been around with it forever.
Right.
But it's wild. It's a cool game, and actually, I actually think that he deserves a lot more credit than what certain places are willing to give him, because he genuinely did make something quite unique and different. And as much as everyone
I
bitches,
will, yeah,
as much
I
as
will
everyone
definitely give him
bitches and
that.
moans about everything being a carbon copy of everything else, it's
At
like,
least it was something new.
well, this is as unique as you're going to get, because there's nothing else on the market like it. It's just not even close.
Right. I just saw it. I was just perusing IGN to go off filter here. Like, it looks like Ubisoft cuts 45 jobs in its US offices. Difficult yet
That's weird,
necessary
because
decision.
their US offices are just like more on the publishing side, I think. I don't think they have
I think it's
they have a San Francisco office, but I don't think it does much developing. I think it's all publishing.
45 staff across the Assassin's Creed publishers San Francisco and Cary, North Carolina locations were impacted by layoffs yesterday. Those affected will receive severance and career assistance through further details, but those are blah, 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 blah. I mean, 45, it sucks, but...
You see this is on IGN? I don't even see
it. Yeah. It was 4 hours ago. The one thing with layoffs, like, they suck, for sure. But people, and even myself, get upset when there's layoffs at developers, but usually it is after a game's release, and I don't think a lot of people realize that, like, they don't need them anymore. I think that going into taking a game dev job.
Our industry is obviously a bit of a reactionary industry, and that's what it is. It's just the nature of it. But it's also reactionary and tends to be very strongly in a businesses are evil and people are all good type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases that's true, but not at all. And yes, like, some level of layoffs are obviously to be expected. All right.
Right.
It's not like it's anything new. It's happened for 30 freaking years now. It's just all of a sudden now we have the IGNs of the world want to make sure that they're reporting on this every single time it happens. And since everyone gets all fired up, they tend to read it and it gets them their clicks. So that's what they focus on. That said, there have been plenty of layoffs that have been completely unnecessary. For sure. Bungie obviously comes to mind. I mean, I shouldn't say unnecessary, because the reality is that ship was plummeting to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
But the issue is when you've got something like Bungie, or, and I'm going to say this, and people aren't going to be happy to hear it, Xbox.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah, I will never lay off that the reality is the executive leadership of Xbox sucks. And the fact that people can't understand that just boggles my mind. They're terrible. Like, when your studio has to lay off certain number to keep up or whatever, that's one thing. You have to do it over and over, and I don't know, get rid of entire teams, which then a few months later you sell to a different publisher.
God, and that's shitty publisher.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that, I'm sure. That's bad leadership, and I don't just mean you could have prevented layoffs. I mean, in the case of Bungie, proper leadership probably could have helped some of them, maybe not all of them, but some of them, because Bungie ended up, it's basically half now of what it once was. It's clear you're cutting the wrong people. It is time to tell Phil Spencer, you are on the cutting block here. Like, I'm not going to get into it because I know it fires people up, but it's like, pretty clearly the man is not doing a particularly great job, or else this wouldn't have to happen continually under his watch, when he also works for the largest company on earth.
Right.
But this is what happens when you spend $80 billion in acquiring studios and then think that somehow you can keep operating without them looking at you. Which, again, comes entirely down to his decision-making, so this all comes to him. But, again, I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah, and to add my 2 cents to it, is I don't think I've ever said it on the podcast or anything, like, and I don't think I've put it out there too much, just because everybody attacks everybody as I put it on the podcast, whatever. The fact that Xbox has struggled, or Microsoft has struggled for decades to get into the Japanese market, and they finally get one developer that is a notoriously good developer. Like, I don't care if that developer is bleeding you money dry daily. You are Microsoft. You have the money to take that hit.
Well, and here's another part of that has been very overlooked. Okay, so I know word is that Hi-Fi Rush didn't sell well. Gee, I wonder why that might be. It couldn't have anything to do with the fact that number one, it wasn't marketed, and number two,
Yep.
it wasn't sold for over a year, basically, right? I mean, it
Mhm.
was, but it never was going to, right?
No.
So I wonder what led to that.
Right.
But also, if I am not mistaken, Japanese studios are not nearly as expensive to upkeep as Western studios, whether that be in Europe or especially in America.
I
Um,
don't think so, no.
I think they're significantly less expensive. And Tango, I don't know the exact head count there. I want to say it was I think it was under 100, but fairly close, something like that. So it's like, honestly, that's nothing for Microsoft. It's really not.
Yeah.
It's honestly nothing for Xbox.
No, and that's
Here's
the
an
thing.
idea. Here's an idea. And while I'm always yelling, people shouldn't say this. This is the truth. Maybe fire Aaron Greenberg, because that's an executive that hasn't done his job right since the minute he was given it. And
Right.
for those who don't know, he's their head of marketing, which I think we can all agree, Xbox's marketing is
been
as bad as it gets.
absolutely
It's as bad as it gets. That doesn't
really
mean the
is.
people that work in their marketing department are bad. My wife gets all fired up about this because she's marketing. But their marketing executive is awful, and he always has been.
Yep.
And everything that Phil Spencer claimed that he was for, which I'm not even going to dispute that he was or wasn't, Aaron Greenberg went and did the opposite anyway. When Phil Spencer was
Mhm.
all about I don't believe in console wars and all that stuff, what did Aaron Greenberg do? He goes and shares stuff that some of the most console warrior idiots on Twitter do. And it's like, well, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you
I
said,
understand that was a bit of a joke. I just kind of wanted to rant about Aaron Greenberg sucking. But
no, that's fine.
But the reality is that there are areas you could absolutely cut money without having
Yeah.
to get rid of an entire team.
No,
That
because
frankly you needed, and they
yeah,
didn't do that. Instead, they did this. But
yeah, 'cause
still, the 343 continues to. I mean, not that I want to see 343 go under, because actually I think Infinite was a quality product, and I actually think that 5 was terrible, but I think 4 was actually relatively good. Maybe not on the multiplayer side, but on the single player, I think 4 was
yeah.
good. But the reality is, they have yet to actually do what they were supposed to do. They made a quality product 2 out of 3 times, let's say.
Right.
But every single time they screwed something up, right? 4, it had terrible multiplayer, so we wanted to play it. 5,
Mhm.
it had a dreadful campaign, but it didn't
Yep.
have good multiplayer.
Yep.
Infinite was good on both fronts, but they dropped the ball so damn bad on the live service front. It's like, I mean, they did eventually. Clearly, Bonnie Ross was forced out. Like, that obviously was not a
Yeah.
chosen resignation. But so clearly they're trying there at least. But it's like,
They are.
but you closed. So okay, so closing the one studio, and I know we actually didn't talk. We didn't even talk about this a few weeks ago when it happened or whatever. The one that they combined with, was it? I don't remember who. They combined them with someone because they were in the same general area. That's fine. You still have
Yeah.
the talent. You didn't really lose anything there.
Right. Right.
One was a mobile studio.
Yeah, and then
So personally, I don't give a crap whatsoever. But the
exactly.
reality is, they do have mobile studios. So that one, it's like, okay, you didn't lose much that you needed there. Everyone looked at Arcane because Redfall, sorry, Ellery, was terrible. But the truth is, look at before Redfall, and Arcane Austin was very good. And you closed a really solid studio because they had one bad release, which
Right.
was partly because of ZeniMax's leadership and just as much because of Xbox's. Because Xbox completely hid, or not hid, I'm sorry, completely let them walk into the fire on their own, which Xbox themselves admitted. I don't remember if it was Phil Spencer or the even bigger idiot Matt Booty, who, how that man has a job, I can't even remotely fathom. But I digress. And then Tango. I mean, obviously we've all waxed poetic about Tango here for however long it's been, and that was just stupid. And then obviously the reason this is coming up is because, for those that haven't noticed, I mean, they live again, although it's not. I'm not celebrating as much as everyone else is, which for reasons we'll get into, I'm sure. And that's great. I mean, I'm glad the studio's alive because they are a talented studio. but it's like this just didn't need to happen. It did not need to happen.
No.
This is 100% because of Xbox. And as
Yep.
much as certain people like to celebrate Xbox buying everyone or Microsoft buying everyone, this is what you get. They have destroyed the market with doing this.
Yeah. It's almost like the how EA was at like in the mid
Mhm,
2000s or
mhm,
early 2000s, where I remember them gobbling up everything and just
mhm,
constantly closing studios afterwards. And
mhm.
yeah, with Tango, like
But
you
funny
said,
thing though, everyone hated EA for that, right?
right?
For some reason, it's
Yeah,
okay when
but for some
Xbox do
reason,
that.
yeah,
I don't understand that.
yeah.
And,
Like there's hate,
every
but then
time
it
I
goes
hear
away.
that Xbox is saving these studios, I'm like, what are you looking at? They're not saving anything. They've
Uh,
closed more of them than they've kept. Not
yeah,
counting
because
Activision.
with them, like you said, even if there was 100 people at Tango, whatever the number is, and like I said, even if it was bleeding money, you have to keep your toe in the door, because them closing it after taking it over so quickly, they will never get their foot in the door again in Japan. Never.
Mhm, mhm.
It won't
Yeah,
happen.
So, I mean, they might as well give up on that pursuit because
Yep.
it's just not happening.
Nope. And it sucks. I mean, maybe they can buy rights for the games to be on Game Pass and be on their console, but they will never get a first party developer again. Never.
I would also be
I would bet
interested to
money
see
on it.
I would also be interested to see how much the Japanese audience, just in general, even actually care about um, not just Game Pass, but really subscription services in particular.
Mm,
Because I've not heard of that being much of a thing in Japan. That doesn't mean it's
not that
not.
I have
I
either.
just have not heard about it. So
Yeah, I just haven't looked
I
into it
don't know
either.
if that's a way that you're ever going to get the Japanese audience either. So, but
Yeah. Um, but yeah, anyway, they did get saved, which I was extremely excited for. Tango and was it just Tango?
it was just Tango, yeah,
It was just Tango. So, the Evil Within IP, Hi-Fi Rush and stuff like that. But then they got it
just Hi-Fi
uh,
Rush.
um
Those other IP are still owned by Microsoft.
oh, are they?
The only one they got was
Oh,
the only one they got was Hi-Fi Rush.
really? See, I didn't look
Hmm.
into that deep enough, I
Yep.
guess.
So and that's bad
Interesting.
news because Microsoft's not bringing um, Ghostwire or Evil Within back.
No. God, I loved Evil Within.
Yeah,
But anyways, what is it? Crafton? Is
Crafton.
that
Yep.
what it?
Hmm.
Yeah, got it. And they're mostly
Hmm.
known, I guess, for like the masses as PUBG
Hmm.
publishers and stuff. And I love PUBG. I've put literally, I think, like 400 hours into that game with friends. Um, it is such, and that was when I was just purchasable. But
Hmm.
now that they've gone the free to play, you can play the game free, no problem. But the monetization is so god awful
Is it
on
really?
there.
I never actually
Oh
looked.
my god. Like, you're not paying for, XP boosts or stuff like that, but they give you things to, like, hey, we give you this loot crate to unlock, and you need so many credits or keys or credits to make a key to unlock this. And you need so many sets of keys, like 3 keys will open up a box, but
Hmm.
you need so much item to create these keys. And I shit you not, you have to grind like 10 10 hours to maybe open up one thing, and it's like,
Jesus.
hey, you got some socks. It's like,
Ugh.
cool. It's so if you want anything extra, you're definitely putting money into it, which is fine. I guess it's all cosmetic, but it seems predatory, even though it's, kind of not. But
Mm.
it's yeah, so it kind of sucks that I mean, it's good that the Hi-Fi Rush got bought, and hopefully they are able to put something out, but I'm already questioning.
Yeah, and again, I do want to say, I mean, I'm glad that the team still exists. I don't want it to come across like that. I just was pretty when I saw it was Crafton, and I figured a lot of people probably didn't know who Crafton was, which was why there was a lot of celebration without hesitancy. I was
Yeah.
like, man, unfortunately, I know who Crafton is, and I'm not happy that it's them, but I am happy that they at least found their footing. And it sounds like actually it was the majority of the same team, which is good stuff. I mean, that's good news at least.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, this in chat. It says on the Save the Media, the guys from the Nerd Chat guys were hypothesizing that they should help them with the Callisto protocol, which Callisto Protocol was originally set in the PUBG world for a few years, and then it, swapped to something else. But I know the head, I think it was the lead developer or whatever, left.
Glenn Schofield, yeah.
Yeah, left as soon as not pretty quickly after Callisto Protocol came out, didn't it? Didn't he leave pretty quickly?
No, it was about a year and a half or 2 years after it came out.
Oh,
I think.
Jesus.
I think it was last year.
Time flies, I guess.
Well, I actually no. Oh, you know what? I might be right. I mean, wrong rather. Because Callisto Protocol came out last December, as in
almost 2 years ago.
A year and a half ago. It came out a year and a half ago.
Yes.
So yeah, actually, it must.
We can do math.
Yeah. I just said it wrong. Yeah, because Dead Space came out last January.
Yes,
Dead Space came out the month after Callisto Protocol, which further exacerbated the emphasis of how much lower quality that game actually was than we would all hoped it would be.
Yeah. I did really enjoy Callisto Protocol once I got the hang of the fighting. It could have definitely been better.
See, the fighting wasn't my issue with it at all. But my biggest issue were, number one, that game was probably half the length it should have been.
Yes.
Maybe not half, but it honestly needed to be probably another third longer. And number two, it was extremely repetitive because there was only 3 enemy types in the entire game.
Yeah.
With Glenn Schofield, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's trying to push all the blame off of the issue there, and it's pretty clear his leadership caused a lot of it too.
Oh yeah.
He did specifically blame Crafton. This part I believe him on. He blamed Crafton for insisting on getting it out when they did, which I don't know what the reason was.
I have no doubt about it.
I assume it's financial, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And he said because of that, they had to cut out a pretty good bit of the game. He said 2 whole enemy types.
Oh,
and I'm like, well, when you've only got 3, 2 is a pretty good amount of them.
2 is a good number. Yeah. I guarantee you Crafton was pushing them and be like, hey,
sure.
I want this out before Dead Space remake.
He didn't say anything about Dead Space. I think it had to do with just a simple, we wanted it out. They wanted it out before Christmas because it came out early December, if you remember.
Yep. Yeah. I did enjoy it, but the combat took a little bit, but the combat, like you said, wasn't the downfall for me. It was the fact that enemy types short. But yeah, I would love to.
It also clearly launched in an unfinished state. The fact that it took them another 6 or 7 months to have New Game Plus and stuff like that. It was yeah, this wasn't ready to go.
Yeah,
but I still liked it. It's just
for sure.
Well, actually, here's another thing that Glenn Schofield 100% gets blamed for. He intentionally mismarketed the living hell out of that game because he never once told people this game is not like Dead Space. He played into that when people acted that's what they were getting.
Yes.
He 100% played into that.
For sure.
When he went to whatever it was, Game Awards or whatever it was, when he was showing it off and emphasized the death animations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He looked for every single thing about that looked like Dead Space that he could to make that sold to people that way. And it came out and it was this is not like Dead Space, which is okay.
Right.
Why did you intentionally play into the never once said to people, hey, this is not like Dead Space. We don't do the dismemberment and all that stuff. This is way more melee focused. Never one time did he say that.
Nope. And I remember leading up to it and getting it, I fully expected Dead Space with a different skin from the way he was talking and the way things were shown, which I'm perfectly fine with as much as a Dead Space fan is. And it's fine that Callisto Protocol was different in its own way, but it's like you said, he definitely was marketing it as this is the Dead Space.
Every single time they showed it off, what he brought with him to show was something where it looked like Dead Space.
Yeah, for sure. But alas, I have a question for you. No, I'm thinking about it. Shit, where'd it go? I had it up. I don't anymore. We were talking earlier before the stream started. So we have a date for Dragon Age, which is October 31st. They got a couple editions coming out, and one of them is is it Coffer edition?
I don't even remember.
It doesn't have the game in it. It comes with a dagger, a potion, some artwork, It's $174, but it doesn't come with the game. Now, Blizzard did this with Diablo core as well. No game. Special edition was like, I think $100, came with a candle art book, which
Bethesda did that a long time ago. The first time I remember it happening was with Wolfenstein 2's thing. People shit a brick over that, and I was like, actually, I think this is a good idea because it lets you buy the game digitally or physically. You know, I was weird when I first heard it, but then I read their explanation, and I was like, that's a good explanation, and actually, this is probably the way it should be done moving forward. Because they said like the point is, you know, since you had to buy it through, in this case, Bethesda's store, right? Because they didn't sell it like GameStop, they sold it on, you know, whatever Bethesda's shop is called. They're like, number one, you know, we want to make sure that if you want the game at midnight, that having to wait for this to ship isn't going to do that. You can buy a digital copy. You can go to a midnight sale at whatever store you want to go, and there it is. I'm like, that makes sense to me, actually. And then we look at when, you know, a lot of them nowadays, you like Sony's a good example of this, although theirs isn't 100%. But look at Horizon Forbidden West, right? I bought this Regala edition, which was $180, $200, something like that. Or God of War. I mean, I bought the I forget what it's called, the Ragnarok edition, whatever. Like they had like 2 levels of collector's edition. It was both of them were the higher ones, right? Maybe $250. I don't remember. Both of those, they give you a steelbook case and a digital code for the game, and it's like, at least let me pick if I want a physical copy,
right?
But there was no option to get a physical copy, and it's like, this is where that addresses that. It's like, hey, if you want the goodies but don't care about the disc, that's a good way to go. If you want to get a physical disc, go out and get one. You know, you're free to do it. So I've come around to the idea that actually that is a decent way to do it. And would you say it was $175, something like that?
Well, I think so, yeah.
That seems like I mean, obviously we can't tell the exact quality of the stuff here, but that seems like a pretty fair price for it. It certainly seems like, you know, it's discounted because it doesn't have the game. Maybe it should be $150 because it's probably $200 if it had a game with it. But like, I don't have an issue with this. I actually think that's probably a good way to do that kind of stuff moving forward. Plus, another good thing about it is it can help eliminate some of the absolute nonsense resell market shit about it.
Yeah.
Because the first thing people do, like, look at Ni no Kuni 2's Collector's Edition. The first one's Collector's Edition. It was really hard to get, but it had the game in it. If you have a sealed copy now, it's selling for like thousands of dollars. Now, that doesn't mean that this won't sell for a higher market later, but without having the game, I would guess it'll not do quite as much on the resale market, you know?
Right. Can you still hear me?
Yes, but your
my camera. Yeah, my camera froze. So I think I think I can leave and then come back because you
look very deep in thought there.
Yeah, I'm very deep in thought with these. Yes.
and yeah, you can because I screwed up on XCP and closed it last time.
So yeah, if I leave studio, it shouldn't end the stream because you're in here. And if not, we'll start up real quick, everybody.
Yeah. So keep talking. Everyone hang out. Well, hi guys. I'm kind of on the spot here. I don't know what to say or do. What's everyone up to? Well, I guess while he's gone, we usually talk about what we're playing, but I didn't recently. You can see I have my wheels set up here. Oh, he's back already. Okay, good. Because I was sweating bullets there. I didn't know what to talk about.
That it works. Nice.
All right, yeah, we're
now I'm on the right side of the stream.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
fine. Yeah. So back to what we were talking about. I have the same feelings as you do with the. I think it's good. You can collect either the physical edition, whatever. But it also, I think, for people who don't have as much money when things launches, they want the collector's edition, but like, I can't afford that. Then they have the option to buy the game, and then later on, at least with Diablo, and I know a couple other things like Diablo. There was one other game too that did it. I can't remember it come to mind now, but they're still available to get those collectors. So if you want to save up for it, and honestly, by the time you save up for it, it goes on sale. Like that Diablo collector's edition has been on sale down to $50 at one point really quickly, but it was like a flash sale, but it's been down to like 75, 80. So I think it's good. I was talking with one of my friends earlier, and they're like, it's awful, it's greedy, da da da. I'm like, I really don't see it
Yeah.
that way.
So,
It gives you a choice,
so long as it's priced accordingly, which in my opinion this
right?
is,
Yeah,
I don't have an issue with it at all. I think it's totally fine. It,
yeah. Like
it
I don't need a 22-inch knife replica. If I was a
sure.
huge fan of the game, sure, series definitely, but I I don't.
Mhm.
I don't need a 22-inch knife
Yeah,
or
well, I
whatever.
told you I was like, if they sold that, say $100 less without the knife, I actually would probably consider it. But
Yeah,
I'm like $180 or whatever,
yeah.
like whatever we said it was. I was like, that's kind of steep for when I really don't even want the main part of it. You know, I kind
I
of want
will.
the other stuff. More than anything, I really want the map of Thetis. But
Yeah, I'm a
but
sucker for maps.
yeah, so am I.
I did see on Amazon that they have like a special edition hard book cover. I think it's 2 books.
You talking about the art book?
Yeah, but they're selling them separately. It's like
Well,
$100.
there's three of them actually.
Oh, is it 3?
I think the third one's only available on BioWare site.
Ah,
One is like 60, one is 100. I want to say the one that's exclusive to their site might be about 150 or 200.
Jesus.
Season game. Keep talking. I'll find it. Season Gaming was actually the one that listed it. Keep talking. I'll find it.
Okay. Um, so I saw that and I was like, "Ooh, I want that." But then I thought it included the game, but no, it was just the books, which poopy. I'm sure they're lovely, but
Mm-hmm.
um,
I find it. I'm bringing it up here.
I do want to. I really want to play Inquisition again before it comes out, but I know for a fact it's not going to happen. I'll have to watch like a playthrough or something, or snippets, cliff notes, something.
Okay, so actually I
Um,
was wrong. It was cheaper.
yeah, this is the one
It's
I saw at the very
yeah.
bottom there.
Here I can scroll down.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
But
that
that
one's
was
only
$100 on Steam. Not on Steam.
the one that's
Amazon.
$100 is this one right here. Includes extra
Ah,
print,
okay.
a slipcase, and an alternate cover. This is the
Yep.
one that I kind of said I wouldn't mind to get this Virantium pack, but I don't see who has it. So but it also depends what it costs.
Ah,
They don't have the price listed, so I can't tell by it. But
Virantium pack by who is it by? Scanavo? Scroll up a
yeah,
little bit. I have no idea. By Scanavo.
That's probably who makes the steelbook.
Mm.
Scanavo, I think that's how you pronounce it. There's certain steelbooks that's actually what they were called. I think Final Fantasy 16th might have been by them,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
that's pretty cool right there.
I
That
know.
poster.
That's another thing. Like metal
Yeah,
posters are I freaking
yeah.
love those. I honestly I'm a sucker for everything. So
So am I, unfortunately.
um and so I would like to play through Inquisition again because I did like that game after the Hinterlands, which was absolutely god awful, terrible, and I don't blame anybody for not liking the game or not playing through the game because of that area because it
Mhm,
was ridiculous.
mhm.
Um,
But
but
I told you I was like, yeah, it does because actually I was like, man, it doesn't seem like anything really happens in Inquisition. No, that's wrong. Actually,
yeah,
Inquisition actually is pretty damn important to the story.
it
And
is. Yeah,
so I watched synopsises today at work because, well, I was busy this week. I was not busy today, and I was like, man, this is actually an awesome story. So I was like, God,
it's
I am
good when
gonna
it
have to
gets
play this
going.
now.
They
Yeah.
just took way too long
Mhm.
to get it going.
And like I said, I saw something where I don't remember who it was that said it, but someone from Bioware did say, yeah, we intentionally did not design Veilguard having the hinterlands in it because we
Thank
know that was
God, because that
they said they admitted they know they made a mistake with that because
yeah,
it was too big too early.
it honestly felt like a grindy MMO at that point. I'm like, I am not here for
That's
this.
actually that's a very good way to put it. Yep. And
And
actually, I watched when I was watching synopsises of Trespasser, which was the DLC that takes place afterwards. I'm like, this looks awesome. Like
yeah,
this really looks like what I wanted Inquisition to be because
yeah.
it's obviously much more streamlined than what Inquisition was,
And
and the story on it's really cool.
I actually liked the multiplayer in Inquisition as
I
well.
never actually played it, so I don't know.
It was kind of like a dungeon crawler with like 3 other people. I think it was 3 other players, or maybe it was
Mm.
3 players total. And you picked like a class and you just went through a dungeon. It was tacked on.
Oh yeah.
And then after you beat said dungeon, you got in-game currency and stuff to take over to your single player, which was it was cool. But at that last trailer that just came out yesterday, I think it was.
Yes.
With the release date. It looks great, and that's what they should have showed off for the release for the not the release, the unveiling of the game, because that trailer was
Yeah,
awesome.
it can't be emphasized enough how much of a blunder that was with that
It was awful.
reveal trailer, because they honestly probably cost themselves sales with that, because it
Oh yeah,
didn't represent the game in any way. It
no,
looks
people
nothing
didn't
like
know
that.
what to expect.
Yeah, they thought we were getting Guardians of the Galaxy with it. It's like, what the
Yeah,
hell is
it
that?
honestly looked. If you were someone new, just kind of watching or just tuning in, I would say, oh man, another hero shooter, because
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
what it
it
looked like.
looked
That's exactly
like.
what it looked like. Yep. And it did
And then
like
thankfully,
the goofy little someone stumbling out of a portal and standing up in some silly pose,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
freezing
it
with their
was.
name, and it was like, what were you thinking with that?
I don't know. And then of course they had to, because they had the gameplay trailer like
Mm,
2 days later, but then they released like a quick like 10-second
mm,
snippet video of like, no, 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 we know we fucked up.
mm.
Uh, but I am looking forward to that at the end of October. There's something else that's coming out end of October. Or maybe it's right at the beginning. I know Metaphor is coming out like what, November 14th.
I don't remember the date for that.
But every time I look at a game,
Actually, what one that people constantly forget. I have no idea if you're interested in it or not, but the end of September, that Reynaudis game comes out too. That's everyone forgets about that. But I was looking through my Amazon pre-orders, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that's coming out too.
I completely forgot about that one. And yep, that's like
I,
every time I look at a game, there's 10 other games. Like I
I've
go
pretty, I've,
to,
I've pretty much accepted that a whole lot of what's coming out is just going to sit on the shelf for a while I play what I really want to play.
yeah, I don't think, because I've got WoW coming out, I'm gonna have to put hours into that, sadly. Um, but yeah, we got Star Wars, Vision of Mana. I don't think I'm gonna get Vision of Mana right off. I really don't. Um,
I'm not interested in that one myself. I just don't like that
um,
series.
there's something else out around the 30th that's not Outlaws.
Black Myth is on Tuesday.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, but it seems like every time I go to like Steam or PS5 or Xbox and it's like games coming soon, it's like, oh yeah, that's the game I wanted. And it's like games like coming out right near it. And I'm like, completely forgot about this one and I want to get that one. It's like, I don't have enough
Actually,
time.
I know what you're forgetting. We are 3 weeks, actually, maybe from the day, from Astrobot. That's what you're forgetting. It's what, September 6th, I think.
I think it's the 6th or 9th.
I think it's Friday, so I think it's 3 weeks from today.
Yeah. I did get the controller for that, which
So did I. Yep.
I didn't need, but it's a really good controller.
It
Hey,
is.
nerd
Yeah,
chat and
yeah,
chat.
they did.
Thanks for coming in, guys.
Yeah, they did do a cool job with that controller.
And then Nissa in chat's looking forward to can't wait for Winterboro and South of Midnight. South of Midnight's next year, right?
Yeah. I don't know what
I
Winterboro
am
is.
I am pretty excited for that one. After the gameplay, really, at first I was like, "Cool, stop animation," and then when they showed the gameplay trailer, I was hooked instantly, instantly hooked. I don't think I've looked up Winterboro yet, or I've seen
I
it
don't
and
know what that
have.
is. But yeah,
Yeah, and the Astrobot plushie. Yeah, I want the Astrobot plushie.
I said this to you earlier in this week, and I stand by this. There's a lot of stuff next year. If you're coming out after June, I hope you expect to just not sell copies, because you're just not going to sell.
Yeah, no,
it is suicide to release anything next fall. I don't.
Yep.
Call of Duty shouldn't come out next fall, because it's
No.
not going to sell anywhere near what it usually does.
No, because it was what
Grand Theft Auto is going to destroy everything within. I'm not being hyperbolic.
No,
within 6 months around it, you're not going to sell copies of games. You're just not going
because
to.
I don't think it was officially announced the date, but it got leaked or whatever, or rumored.
Fall.
Or
I think we all assumed it was going to be fall.
Yeah, and I think it was somewhere around June or something. And like you said, don't release anything.
Yeah.
It's just don't. I don't
care.
care
At that
what
point,
game
you might
you
as well
are.
wait until the following year to release it, because you're just
you're
just setting it out to get killed at that point.
Yeah, it's GTA 5 has been alive since PS3.
GTA 5
right?
sold, I want to say,
ridiculous
10 million copies in 3 days.
It's ridiculous.
And that was maybe the slowest part of its sales for for 3. I shouldn't say slowest, that's not accurate, but that was nothing. Like it just kept selling after that.
Yeah, it keeps selling because it's been out for so long. It's like another generation of
Mhm.
players comes along, and it's like, oh, GTA. So it's just a constant cash in. And I am pissed at the devs for never releasing the single player content, but at the
Yeah, that is
same
a bummer
time,
because I actually liked the campaign
yeah,
of 5. I thought it was
but at
good.
the same time, I understand because their online has made them money hand over fist, like ridiculous
Mhm.
amounts. Um, and that's why we haven't gotten one for so long,
Yeah.
clearly. And
Well, I mean, you see that they tried with Red Dead when that didn't like the online when that
yep.
didn't catch on like 5, they dropped it like a like an old
Oh yeah.
hat, and they
Yep.
went right back to GTA.
Yep. Yep. But yeah, when that comes out, as Nerd Chat said in chat, GTA is going to be like the Elden Ring. It's all everyone will be talking about for months. And
Mhm.
yeah, that game is going to
It's
take
I'm
over.
calling this right now. That will probably be the top selling game of all time because it's not going to sell less than 5. Well, I mean, maybe overall it will just because 5 sold forever. But in terms of like early sales, I think it's going to even eclipse 5, and I think 5 set sales records if I'm not mistaken. So it's like
I definitely think so.
it's going to be insane. Like that game is when you're all of a sudden going to see people actually buying this generation since we've seen the numbers and people are not buying into this
Yeah.
generation. That's
And then
that day Sony and Microsoft are sitting there counting the days
yep.
down till especially Sony till
Yep.
that happens because they're going to sell double the consoles they have.
I
No, sorry, I'm sorry. They're going to double the number of consoles as what they
yeah.
have now the day
Honestly
that
I
comes out.
fully expect a PS5 Pro or an Xbox whatever before that comes out. I really do.
Well, PS5 Pro is supposed to be this year, is rumor.
Yep.
Um, oh yeah, no, honestly, you're going to see. I mean, assuming that Xbox does not make a mid-gen refresh, which they claim they're not, so we'll assume that's true. You're going to see a PlayStation branded bundle.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, Sony's going to throw tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars at Take
Yeah,
Two to
and
have
why
that
not?
bundle.
Because they will
Sure,
make it back.
yeah, but,
And
but
especially like you said, if Xbox doesn't do a midlife upscale, because GTA 6 launching next year, I can tell you right now that is going to run like ass on current
mhm.
gen. You're gonna get 30 frames stuttering unless they make some kind of magic, but I don't see it happen.
Well, okay, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Rockstar because Rockstar are wizards when it comes to that. Yes,
Hmm.
some of the stuff can be buggy, but let's not forget Red Dead Redemption 2 is a PS4 and an Xbox One game. Remember
Yes.
that. PS4 and Xbox One. That and Last of Us 2. I mean, I've said it before. I think Hellblade 2 was good. I still think those two games look better than Hellblade 2. And
Yeah.
they both have way bigger worlds than Hellblade 2 does. Hellblade
Yeah.
2 is, very linear and all that stuff. So, like, I still to this day cannot fathom how Red Dead Redemption 2 is a
Um,
PS4 game.
one of the things that always for the game devs working magic with GTA, one of the things that I still can't believe are the little details that Rockstar puts in. And
Mhm.
I think it was 5 where people are walking and when they have flip-flops, the
Yep,
flip-flops are
yep.
actually
It makes
flip-flopping.
the noise and no,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's like that
Well,
you won't find that in another game and you haven't
s-
found that in another game.
something I discovered that if you didn't look in the right way, you would not even know this actually. Technically, this actually was true in 4 as well, which is even more insane since that game ran at like 320p at certain times on
Yeah.
360. Um, when you bring up your phone, right, you're looking at it. If you position the camera right, your phone is actually displayed on the phone the character's holding. It's not just a blank screen. It actually has the screen you are looking at in the lower right hand corner of the screen. It's actually on the screen of his phone.
Ah, nice.
Um, and all of this is nothing compared to the little details in Red Dead Redemption.
Red Dead
Uh,
Redemption
the,
2.
like
Right,
just
yeah, 2.
the way that they built animations for something that you see one time in the entire game.
Right.
Like,
It's insane.
and they're animations that aren't like because it's Rockstar that aren't half-assed. They're like they're animations
Yeah.
that are better than things in entire games, right?
Mhm.
And it's like this is something that you'll see in the opening 2 minutes of the game and you'll never see again.
Yep.
And it's like
Yeah,
that's I mean
it's crazy.
they are total perfectionists, and it's like yeah, okay, it takes them 10 years to make a game, but when it comes out, you can tell it took them 10 years to make that game because
Yeah.
they don't skimp on anything. And I know Rockstar does tend to get some hate for things, and I don't get it. I look at them I'm like they're clearly one of the like indisputably 2 or 3 best studios in the world, and I don't think there's anybody.
Yeah, they clearly know
If
what
you
they're
argue
doing.
that, you can dislike the game. That's fine. But
Yeah,
there's no disputing that they are one of the 2 or 3 most
for
talented
sure.
teams in the entire world. And there's, you know what? It shows. That's why
Yep.
GTA 5 sold. I mean, they've got to be at a 500 million copies by now. They have to be.
It's gotta be.
Like the only thing in history that ever possibly could have sold more would have been Tetris, and that barely counts. It's like 40,000 SKUs. But like in terms of something that technically has, what, say 7 total SKUs, it's unbelievable how many copies that game sold.
Yeah, I'm trying to find Grand Theft Auto 5 surpasses 200 million units sold.
I actually thought it would have been higher than that. I mean that's
and,
obviously that's insane, but I actually thought it would have been higher than that.
and that was back in May. No, not back May of this year. But can you imagine your game
From
selling?
1 week ago, Statista says cumulative sales worldwide sold over 200 million units. So okay,
Can
wow,
you
I
imagine your
actually thought it
game
would have been higher
selling
than that.
200 million copies?
Well, I don't know if you saw
Jeez.
it. The rumor is that so 6 has actually, the reason, I mean, it has been taking that long to work on. It's not like they just started it 3 years ago.
Right.
The rumor, or not the rumor, the rumor that leaked out said that they started working on it in like 2016 or something like that.
Jeez.
And the total budget is something in the like $2 or $3 billion range. And you know what? Take-Two don't care because they're going to
No.
make that back in literally 3 hours of sales. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't
yeah,
matter. They're going to make that back in the first day, and they know it.
I'm trying to figure out the number because online they're like money currency in game that you can buy. It sells ridiculous.
You talking about like the shark cards?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not even taking shark cards into account because I don't think it'll happen. But there is a possibility that this will be like 5, and it'll launch where the online isn't quite ready, and they're going to buy their. I was going to say it's fine. Get it done when it's ready.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, give me time to play the solo play.
This is going to sell that many copies just for people playing the single player, and that is not even taking the probably hundreds of billions they're going to make on it from the multiplayer. They're going to make that much money on this just by selling the copies alone without a single penny sold for the multiplayer, and that's where the real money is too. That's how insane this is going to be. This will probably be the biggest entertainment release in history, I would guess.
Definitely. I would throw a lot of money down saying that. I will say,
I don't think that's a crazy statement at all.
No. I will say I was very upset with Red Dead Redemption 2's multiplayer because I bought it fully thinking it was going to be GTA 5 online, but with cowboys and Indians type of thing. And I mean, it was not. It was very, very much okay for me anyways. It just didn't. And clearly you don't hear about Red Dead Online.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They basically stopped supporting it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that said, I don't like. I mean, I never bought it for the multiplayer anyway, but I know this is a shared and disagreed with opinion. I think Red Dead 2 is probably in the top 5 best games ever made. I love the original one, and I think this absolutely drains it in the toilet. That's how good I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is.
My hot take is
I
know how amazing Red Dead Redemption 2 is.
Oh, you're hurting me here. You're hurting me.
I don't like it.
Not liking it is okay.
And I hate that I don't like it. And the reason I don't like it is because of all the little details. Like, go collect this pelt. Cool. I'll go collect the pelt. But then you're riding your little horse and, you jumped over a fence. The pelt falls off. I gotta get off.
Happen. What are you talking about?
It does all the time.
No, it doesn't.
You gotta pick it up
off the horse.
You have to do the cutting animation every time. Oh, you're going into town? You better clean your gun, pilgrim, because it's like, oh, you go into camp? You can only walk. There's no running around in camp. And I'm like, it's those little things.
That's a fair complaint, although I would probably walk to the camp anyway, so it doesn't bother me.
And I clearly know they are my faults And
That's
I
fair. I mean,
I
it's
I need to play it again because I always see TikToks or YouTube shorts and videos of, like, people reacting to the end of the game, and I'm like, "I need to play this story because I still have kept myself blind to it somehow,
oh, really?
but yeah,
Well,
somehow, but
I
I
mean,
just know
you
that
know how it ends. If you played Red Dead 1, you have a general. I mean,
right,
you might not know how it ends, but you know how it ends.
yeah, and
That
God,
said, how it ends was actually kind of interesting.
um,
It's very long. That's just it is a long game. Like just main quest, I want to say is um again, I want to emphasize it is okay if you don't like it. Not everything's for everybody, right?
right,
I say all the time things that people like I can't stand. Um, the difference is, so long as you're not saying that game's crap, right? If you can say I know it's a good game, but I don't
yeah.
like it, that's a
Oh,
perfectly
for
valid opinion.
sure. I'm glad I'm not the only person. There's a couple people in chat, Nerd Chat and Red Beast, saying, I'm intimidated by the slow, deliberate pace of R2D2. Jesus, of Red Dead Redemption 2. And I think that's it. And
See,
that's why,
I like the slow pace, but I do acknowledge that's not for everybody.
yeah,
Some people do want the fast craziness of Grand Theft Auto. I actually liked that Red Dead was a far
yeah. I
slower and
feel
more
like I need
deliberate game.
to try it again. I've tried it a few times. I haven't tried it for a while. But yeah, it was that slow pace, which is fine sometimes, but I just think I wasn't in the right mindset. But like, yeah, cleaning your gun and stuff like that. And it is definitely probably one of the best games ever made, especially detail wise, story. I just for some reason can't click with it, and I'm mad at myself that I can't click with it because I know it's a good game.
They also, to be fair, not that this changes much there, but they haven't done themselves any favor by also not releasing a patch for it yet to make it run at 60. That just does not make any sense. Honestly, it's Rockstar. If you want to, resell the damn thing and you'll sell it because even though it's not Grand Theft
Right.
Auto, I mean it did sell exceptionally well.
Red Beast in chat says, "Try it after you finish up Hollow Knight." And clearly, I have not played some of the greats. I did buy Hollow Knight. I
But you're
should have
gonna
brought
play
my.
World of Warcraft.
Oh, God, dude, I fucking World
I'm
of
gonna have to start
Warcraft.
looking for a new co-host soon. If this
Jesus.
doesn't get addressed soon.
I was talking to one of my good friends that plays it with me. We went out tubing on the river on last Saturday, and he's a huge WoW player. He's literally like one of the best. He was like rank 3 in the world for mages or something. So he's heavy into it. Like one of his one characters literally has like 4 years of playtime alone. Like this guy lives
Jesus.
and breathes WoW, which is great. But he just had a kid, so he's like, yeah, he's like, I don't know how I'm gonna get time into World of Warcraft. And I was like, between other games, I was like the podcasts, and which I love doing the podcast. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to put as much time in, which is fine because I got plenty of other games to play, including Hollow Knight. Maybe that's the reason the other one hasn't been announced yet, is because I haven't played Hollow Knight.
If that's the case, me and
I should
Silken are
play it
going
right
to
now.
beat the shit out of you
It would
because
be hilarious if as soon as I
we're
started
hurting
playing
because
it,
of you.
the other one got announced. It's like I broke the
Well,
curse or
oh, it was
something.
announced a long time ago. The release date hasn't been
Right, the
announced.
release date,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, we're gonna come beat the shit out of you if you play it immediately afterwards. They announce the date.
um, I think we should move on to our next segment.
Yes.
What's so you thought about this?
So
So
would you like me to explain it?
yeah, you thought it up.
Okay. So
You
so just
yeah,
as a
go ahead.
slight little bit of backstory for anybody who actually cares, I've been thinking of a way to kind of get the show to flow a little bit better. Like it has flow, but sometimes it seems like we're struggling when you
Wow,
think of what's talked about and
wow.
all that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
well, I mean, it is what it is. Anyway, so I started thinking, I'm like, this. So I was like, how can we do this? And I was like, well, I looked at other certainly big podcasts out there that do this, and I'm like, they probably have the right idea. So we jokingly named it "Around the Nerd." Okay, simply because I spent literally 5 seconds trying to think of a name.
Yep.
But moving forward, this is probably unless we have a day where there's like a showcase, something like that, it's going to take like most of the show to talk about. This will probably be, and I would think so at least, basically something we do every week, right? And the general gist is going to be that each week. And I'm sorry, I also meant to say this will probably, in most cases, comprise the meat of the show. This will probably be most of what we're doing. But the general gist is each week, each one of us is going to come with a topic of anything in the like nerd space. It doesn't have to be games, but spoiler alert with me, it's almost always going to be games because I don't really get into much of our stuff. But if you want to do movies, comics, whatever, that's totally cool too. But the other person is not going to know about it ahead of time. So when we bring it up, so in this case, I'll bring up my topic. I will talk about it first. That way, Clint has a chance to kind of collect his thoughts about it, kind of see where he is, and basically the point is create a discussion about whatever the topic of the week for each person would be. It's pretty simple. It's nothing too complicated, right?
Yep.
So you want me to go? You want me to go first?
This could turn into complicated, but yes, I have like 2 questions, and I'm bouncing them back and forth. But
ask your question first. Okay, ask your question first.
Oh no, because I'm deciding which one to go with. So
you mean the question is your topic? I'm sorry, I thought you meant a question on how this worked. Okay.
Yeah. So okay. You go ahead and hit me with it.
So my topic is actually, I have a couple that I wanted to do, but I decided to do this one because it's somewhat relevant to recent gaming, recent news, right? And my topic is just in general GameStop. Now, it's obviously relevant because of Game Informer. I do not want to focus on that part of it at all. Like that's not the point. Okay. I wanted to talk about the company itself, right? Okay. In terms of, obviously, GameStop is not well liked amongst the gaming industry, and rightly so. I mean, they did that themselves. But I wanted to kind of talk about our history with them, kind of if we ever did like them. I really never did. I liked EB much better. And now, anybody at XCP, there's a pretty large number of us. I found out that actually at one point in time did work for GameStop. Did you or did you not? I don't know if you did.
I did not, but I might as well have.
Okay. So, having also worked for them, and actually at a time when I want to say actually I worked for them pretty close to the same period of time when Luke and Kevin did. I might have been slightly before them because my time period would have been about 2005 until 2010, give or take, somewhere in that range. Maybe slightly off on a year by year or two there. And I had gotten to an assistant manager role and whatnot. So I'm not saying I got high in the company, but I didn't remain, at
right.
I was a scrub, but I wasn't like scrub, right? I still was very much at the point where I was not considered human by the corporate office, but
right.
I wanted my part of it I was going to talk about was specifically why I think they have really basically signed their death warrant. And most people will look at the transition to digital games being a major part of that, and there's no question it plays a part. I don't think it plays as big of a part as people think it does. I actually think that GameStop, had they intelligently prepared for this, when it was clear it was eventually going to happen, all you had to do was look at how PC gaming was going. It was obviously going to eventually get there on console. I'm not happy about it, but it was obviously going to happen. If they were even remotely intelligent about this, they could have positioned themselves to survive this and actually just transition slowly into a more or less like a retro store and all that stuff. However, I can honestly say I have never worked for and I've worked for some pretty shitty companies. I have never worked for a more arrogant company that honestly had leadership that had no idea what they were doing and really had no business being in the position they were in than GameStop. Because again, as I mentioned, obviously not very popular with the gaming people, or with the gaming, which nobody really is. But the truth is, that is your one and only market,
right?
If you're them, right, you need to stay on their good graces. And over a various selection of just moronic and greedy decisions, they essentially shot themselves in the foot 100 times until they didn't have a foot anymore, and then moved on to start shooting themselves in the arms. Because so they obviously, their bread and butter, anybody that's understands business, obviously used gaming was their big thing, right?
Yeah.
I understand maybe kids don't know that, but that's what their thing was, right? It's why they pushed the trade-in so hard. And I understand why. I mean, they had ridiculous profit margins on those. Like honestly, to the point of being like ridiculous. It truly was
Oh yeah, it
ridiculous.
was.
There were some that weren't too bad, but in most cases, you trade. Say it wasn't like a Madden that was like $1. If you traded something in that was $20, they were probably selling it for 50.
Oh,
It's
for
like
sure.
it's like that's honestly really too high to the point that you're kind of treating your customers like wallets that you just pull money out of, to the point
Yeah.
that over time you slowly pissed everybody off to the point they started going somewhere else, right? You did not price anything in an even remotely competitive fashion to the online market, right? When a new game is 60 and you're selling it for 55 used, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Then they completely piss off the collector base. This right here is what could have kept them alive had they not done stupid shit like this, right? So I don't. Do you ever watch Mr. Matty's channel?
I don't
He
think so.
technically has a few of them, but specifically the one I'm referring to is Retro Rebound. He actually has a. It's actually pretty funny. His fan base has kind of liked it, and he's kind of run with it for a while. He does something called GameStop Roulette. He's done variations where he got somebody else, right? But the idea is so Matty has he's picked a couple consoles that he wants to like collect back catalogs to. So he goes on GameStop's website and orders used games that they're selling. They're all used. That's the point. Then they come and he orders a bunch of them at a time, and then he keeps them all sealed until he's doing the video. And then the idea is he opens it and he checks the quality of them. He checks the quality of it. It's actually a cool idea, and it is funny. Like he's really like charismatic about it and really hilarious. So it actually makes for something pretty funny to watch. And the general idea is like, he looks to see what he's getting complete in box. He looks to see what quality he's getting and stuff like that. So what I'm getting at is, and I spoke up about this a long time ago and just said, like, this is something that really needs to be addressed if we want to, when I worked there, if we want to stay relevant. And it died. I think my manager told the district manager, and it died with him because they didn't want to hear it.
Right, yeah.
The fact that GameStop was so constantly worried about always accepting all trade-ins. It doesn't matter if it looked like somebody pulled it out of the freaking toilet. It's fine, right? And like, I mean, that's one thing. That in and of itself is not the issue. The problem is that okay, say you got a copy of, I mean, I'll just pick something out of my, let's say the Avatar game, okay? Someone trades in the Avatar game.
Yep.
It is, let's just say it's $40 used, whether it's complete in box and basically I took it outside, opened it, took it back in and traded it in. That is the same price as one that somebody threw it down the street.
Right.
That's not completely accurate, but nonetheless, like
something, I know what you
mean. Like ran over the case with
right.
their car.
Doesn't even have a case. They just came in with
up
the
manual. The thing might not have any scratches on it, but maybe tape all over it. They sell for the exact same price.
Yeah.
And here's the real kicker of this, right? And this is the whole point of bringing up Matty's thing. You go to GameStop.com and you want to buy a used one. It doesn't tell you its condition. All it says is may or may not include box. May or may not include manual. You can't say if it doesn't have this, don't bother. I don't want it. Right. It could be one thing if you could say I only want this if it's complete in box. I only want it if it has the box. Whatever. Nope. It doesn't matter. And sometimes he's getting one. So when you get them on GameStop.com, you're getting them typically from their distribution center. I think on occasion stores will ship them, but usually it is the distribution centers. I don't know where they find the people that are pulling these, but they're technically supposed to at least put their like generic like GameStop box, so it has at least a case it can be in.
Yeah.
With his, they are sending some of these in their little yellow envelopes that they store them in, like
when they pull
them off thing. That's it. They're sending that.
I would be pissed.
Yeah, I would be like, this is unacceptable. And again, there is no way to say, like, there's no way to look at the thing and be like, okay, they have a complete box copy, I'll buy it. You have to play, as Matty calls it, the roulette. You have to take a total guess and be like, all right, this is the only place I can get this rare game I've been looking everywhere for. Let's try it. And then it's just like, who thought this was how you keep your freaking business alive? Your business now relies almost entirely on the collector market, right? The retro market. The retro market, not counting cartridge ones, most of them are like, Well, actually, Krista just said something I'm gonna get back to in a second too, because she's right.
Yeah.
I forgot. Most when it comes to the collector market, PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, and game, the Nintendo side, all that stuff. The collector market usually want at least the cases. They at least want it in acceptable condition. Maybe not everyone has to have perfect condition, especially when it's one of the more rare games that's expensive. But it's like, this is where GameStop absolutely signed their own death warrant, because they were so worried about the exact minute they were in that they did not think 5 seconds into the future and look at how they could be sustainable in the future, and they completely killed themselves for it. And what she said that I said I was going to bring up, that right there, GameStop is so lame to even go inside lately. She's right. Now, I don't know exactly what aspect she's referring to here, but there are multiple that are all correct. Right?
Oh, I can tell you mine.
They look exceptionally stale to walk into now. There is zero personality in them. They all look like just some very boring.
It looks like a flea market.
Yes, and the part I was really going to get into, and again, where they have really killed themselves. They were smart at one point to say, "Hey, let's start looking at the collectible stuff, not the collectible market, but the collectibles, as in the physical stuff." And then somewhere along the line, they veered into that being half the store is Funko Pop figures. And I am not bad-mouthing Funko Pop. I don't care for them, but my wife likes them.
Yeah.
But why is that half of your store? That is literally half the GameStops now.
Yeah.
And it's like,
you can't be making money with that.
It is so obvious. Whoever is running the show there, and has been for some time, never, ever should have been even close, because the decisions that they made killed that company. I give you the floor.
I think what you say is on point for sure, especially coming from your side of it, where you were in management and stuff. And like Krista said in chat, and as I just said, going into a GameStop right now is like a flea market. It's it's because it is the only game store we have, unless it's a mom and pop place. It is the Walmart of game stores. It's just dirty. Shit's just thrown anywhere. It doesn't have any personality. It just has black shelves with stuff thrown about and a clearance rack in the middle. So that's definitely not helping its cause at all. But what you had mentioned at the beginning, I think their downfall was, the start of it was the absolute price gouging and the meme that came across of it, like, I just brought in 100 games, I have 15 cents credit type of thing for the meme. And they're true. I used to go to GameStop all the time. Like literally maybe once every 2 days to once a day on my way home, just stop in, talk to the people, because I got to know them because I was in there way too goddamn much buying stuff. And that was before everything was very digital, and now it was very physical, I should say. But like you said, they waited way too long to see the writing on the wall that digital is the way it's going to be at some point. So yeah, still have your physical stuff, but they should have started bringing in the not a whole half a store of Funko Pops, but game t-shirts, game memorabilia, just like game stuff, or just nerdy stuff of the latest Game of Thrones series or Shogun series, whatever's coming out. Toss that stuff in there. Be a pop, like a pop culture store. That's what it should be now, with some games. This in chat, I bought my brother a $60 game. He got back $5 for it, and it was basically brand new. Yeah, it's terrible, because I remember going into the store with games to sell, and if they were busy, I would go along the shelves and I'm like, oh man, this one's selling for $50. I should get a decent amount. You go up there and it's like, I'll give you $250, and I'm like, but you're selling it for $50. Or I would go in there and they would be, because people were lazy, you'd get like 10 stickers on top of it. Sticker.
I will say they've gotten better about that. Their newer stickers are way better than like the yellow ones they used to have. Like I'm sorry, they're still yellow for the pre-owned. The big square ones they use now, those are way better than what they used to have. Because those old ones, oh my god, those you couldn't get those things off.
There would be like 15 of them, and if one was starting to peel, there would be like a cheaper price behind it, and you're like, why? Like, wait a minute. And it was because of a sale or whatever, and they were just whatever. As a person who went in buying games, I don't remember the exact date, but I remember the day that I went in and I bought a game. It was ages ago, obviously. I went up, I was like, I want this brand new game, gave them the money. They handed me a game that was already open.
I was going to get to that. I was going to
and I was like,
and actually,
and they took it out. They took it out of the disc.
If you didn't work there, you didn't know how bad this actually was. But I'll get to that in a minute. Keep going. Because it's worse than you thought it was. That game wasn't new. Well, it could have been, but I'll bet you it wasn't. I'll bet you that game was used.
Or like the same day I get in there, and I'm like, I want a plastic wrapped game. Yes, this might have just came in, and for some reason you're putting in there because it was a display case or something. I don't want a display case that 500 people have touched. I want brand new if I'm paying brand new. And so that was turning me off.
Hold on. Let me. Okay. So this is something that unless you worked there, you didn't. Word about it snuck out. But when I read, I'm like, that's not actually accurate how this works. Here's how it really worked. So they have had, I don't know if they still do, but when we were all there, they had a policy in place that was called, I don't remember. I actually don't remember what it's called. But on paper, it's a sound idea. In practice, it was pretty bad how they did it. So the sign out policy. That's what it's called. It's called the sign out policy. The general gist was, they wanted the employees to have knowledge of what they were selling, right? And okay, that's not a bad thing to do, or a bad thing to do. The problem is that depends on what manager you had. I had certain managers that did have a decent policy where it's like you can only do this with used games, but I did have ones that you were allowed to do it with new games, and that basically meant employees were taking new games home and playing them. Right. The sign out policy was for, I don't know, 2-3 days, something like that. Then you had to bring it back, right? And if that was a new game and the manager allowed that game was then resold as a new game.
Right.
Right. The gutting policy, which is what you're referring to, where they put a display case out. Now, to their credit, they don't do that as much now. They do use a lot of like marketing
sleeves or whatever.
Yeah. That's honestly how it should have always been.
Yeah.
Like I understand why you don't want the game sitting on the shelf. I do understand that. But they should have, all the time, it should have been sold. And that's another one. You buy it online, there was a chance you were getting a gutted copy. And there was no way to say, no, I only want a sealed one. There was no way to do it. That should have always 100% of the time been sold at a discount and just said, hey, you know what we got left is this one. I can give it to you for $5 off. And some managers do it. I have heard it where they said, this is the last one. It's open. I'll give you $5 off if you want it. And at that point, I'm like,
that's understandable.
That's not so bad.
Yeah.
But GameStop's general policy was you sell that at full price. And it's like you generally treated your customers like absolute dog shit for 30 years. And now you're starting to reap the penalties from it.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. No, that's I like hearing the extra behind it because I do remember
GameStop did not like that information getting out. I can tell you that.
I do remember
they did not like when people were talking about that online.
Talking with employees that like, oh yeah, if you work here, you can take a game home, and that you just completely reminded me of all that. So that makes sense. But yeah, when I pay for a new game, I want a new game. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Definitely a me thing because I just want something new. For me, not only, like I said, is it looks like a flea market now, it's just random shit thrown everywhere. But honestly, it is such and then Krista mentioned in chat, I will, unless it's something that I absolutely need there, or I'm just looking for, I think the last time I was in there was like Christmas because I was looking for like stocking stuffers for the kids or something. And I buy a Funko Pop or whatever. And you go up there and it is 10 fucking minutes of questions. Do you want a warranty on this? Do you, I mean, obviously we're not getting Game Informer subscription anymore, but do you want to sign up for Game Pro? Do you want to sign up in case your dog eats the disc? Do you, it's like, no, can I just buy this and leave?
Was it about a year and a half ago? For a very short, very limited release, they released a physical copy of the original Bayonetta on Switch, right? When
Yep.
Bayonetta 2 came out on Switch, it came with a download code for the first game. But everyone was like, man, I really would like to have this physically. So, like 4 years after they released it, they actually had a limited run, not limited run games, but a limited like release of the physical copy. And I had pre-ordered it, went pick it up, and the girl there was like, hey, do you want the warranty on this? I'm like, no. I was like, I pretty much keep everything pristine.
Right.
And on top of that, I was never even opening this. Right.
Right.
Like I have a digital code,
for the
but
collectors.
I wanted it physically. And she's like, well, it's only this. I'm like, I don't need it. I'm like, I'm good. And I didn't even go to the fact I'm like, and also, by the way, if this were to stop working, you won't be able to replace it anyway because you're not going to have any.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, she got belligerent because I said no. I'm like, I am not even opening this. So no, I don't need it. Like, why would I pay? I don't care if it's 10 cents. Why would I pay that when I don't need it? Because I'm never even going to put this disc in a Switch or a cartridge. I mean, in a Switch.
Yeah.
And then again, you wouldn't be able to replace it if it went bad anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Exactly. So yeah, I think they're their own worst enemy for sure. They should have turned into a pop culture with selling some games, but they tried doing that and they didn't do it well, and they also did it too late.
They abandoned it too early was part of the problem.
Yeah,
they tried something when it didn't catch on immediately. They completely dropped it. Like Krista said something a little bit earlier. Actually, wasn't too far ago, I guess. Let's see. There it is, right there. She's right. Everything is what is the next quarter.
Yep.
Like there was zero foresight in the leadership of that company whatsoever, and it is so obvious.
Yeah, and then what was the other thing they did? And I'm not sure how or what if they did lose money or whatever. But when they tried to push fucking NFTs for a little while there,
I don't remember.
Oh yeah.
I missed that one.
Yeah, it was when NFTs were like first. Is it still up? Hold on, I'm looking at the website to see if it's still up. Yeah, GameStop NFT is still up.
Wow.
Yeah, they're still trying to sell NFTs. Which
I totally missed that one.
Yeah, it's like, why are you still NFTs were dead on arrival, but granted, some people bought into it. But like clearly NFTs are done. They still have a website going for it, but hey, they took down Game Informer website. But what should I, what do I know?
That's the other thing too. Is like, as much as I make fun of Xbox for it, and rightly so, there is no company that just cannot stay out of their own, like not step on rakes the way that GameStop does.
Yeah,
they are their own worst PR nightmare.
Yeah, it's sorry, got distracted there. Yeah, it's GameStop are their own worst enemies. They really are, and I think it all started with people noticing like how bad they were treating their customers.
They just kept ringing everybody a little more dry, a little more dry, a little more dry, and eventually people started to go, okay,
this is
no more of this.
Yeah, so now pretty much they just attract young teens that need a game but can't afford it. So here, taking these games or whatever. But yeah, the ones that are around here, there's only a few. There's one about an hour north. They're all like an hour away from me. But yeah, you go in there and it looks like a flea market. The people just don't care, and it's just like, why would I buy from here? That being said, I have gotten a few collector's edition from GameStop online because that's the only place that I can get them at. But I hate going into the store because of the 500 questions. It's like, stop. I'm here to buy a game. That's it. Stop it.
One more other little thing that I'll say, and then we can move on. I had said about them being a clearly just very arrogant company. This will just exemplify that, right? So when I was working there, I was always confused about their decision of where they were picking to choose. They called them the strip stores, which are the ones that are not in a mall, right? At that point, malls were still, pretty operable. But GameStop was starting to build all the standalone ones. And I was like, man, I could tell you all kinds of locations around here that'd be perfect because there's nothing near there. Like they would get all the business.
Right.
And I think it was my district manager said, corporate will only build in a strip center that has a Walmart in it. And I'm like, okay, I understand the idea of you're trying to get the foot traffic, but you're also then intentionally putting it against the one competitor that you have zero chance of beating at the same time.
Right.
That's how arrogant the executive leadership of that company is.
Christ.
So all right. Well, that was a fair. That went on lower than I thought it would, but
it's good.
We kind of got the point across. I think
my question is it's gonna be like, oh wow, Clint's the terrible one of this show, that's for sure. But when you first started this and you're talking about EB games, I miss EB games.
EB was so
I was a kid at EB and EB was awesome. I miss EB. Anyways, my question, I'm gonna have to really think next week because it is no way as deep as this, which I'm glad it was because this was awesome.
My other one might actually be a little bit deeper, so be ready.
Okay,
we'll have to make sure we have time.
Yeah, this was God. I don't feel like I should even just wait till next week. But this one's super simple.
All right.
So any series, game, movie, TV series as a series. So it's got to be a series, not just a one movie, one book. That you like Final Fantasy or some TV show that you like, but there's one thing in it that you cannot stand. And it just irks you or whatever every time it happens in the show or whatever. So for me, I was thinking, it popped in my head because I started watching Battlestar Galactica, the 90s 2001, which for me is one of my all-time favorite shows. I absolutely adore that show. I think it's fantastic. I just love everything. However, it is so hard for me to start. I've watched it a few times. It's so hard for me to start that series from the start because thank you, Krista. Krista says this is actually a good one, so I don't feel so bad right now.
That's a better question you gave yourself credit for.
But I just don't feel it's on like a deeper level. Like you're the very deep person that gets deep into the news and stuff.
Yes, I am,
which is great.
To be fair, I do not expect you to be like that. I figured that's the side I'll bring for it.
I am the very much the squirrel, just like, oh, look at this. Let's move.
That's fine. That's okay.
But anyways, so Battlestar Galactica, absolutely love that show. I love the characters. I love the story. It was one of the first series I watched where it wasn't like a Star Trek Generation episode of just one story was told and then you move on. It was the whole story was throughout the seasons. However, and it's hard for me to start the first season because they do it so much in the first one, is they try to because it was on Sci-Fi, and this was before you could swear on TV. So instead of saying the word fuck, they would say frack.
Okay.
And they tried to push it so much in the first season. It would be like, what the frack are you doing? What the frack is up?
Yeah, it's better just not have it at that point.
Go the frack over there.
Yeah.
And it is literally said, I feel like every fifth or sixth sentence, and it's it's cringy. It doesn't work. It's awful. And thankfully, after the first season, they definitely lay off of it, but it pops up every now and then. And for a series that I absolutely love, whenever it's said, my eye just ugh. It's just, God, why? So that's mine, I think. Out of all the stuff that I love, it irks me every time I hear the word frack in the show Battlestar Galactica.
No, I can get it. That would drive me nuts too.
So yeah, that's mine. Nothing as crazy, but
I have one. It probably doesn't bother me that much, but off the top of my head, this is the first one I could think of, especially since it's something I'm actively doing now. So, plot twist, despite what I just said, it's actually not going to be about a game, right?
Yep.
I will talk about the Inheritance trilogy, which, for those who don't know, is Aragon, Eldest, Brissinger, and Inheritance. And then technically there's also now a I guess it's three short stories together called The Fourth Witch in the Mountain or something like that, and Murtagh, which I've not read The Fourth Witch in the Mountain yet, and I have not read Murtagh, but I'm getting there. I've read Aragon, I've read Eldest, and I've read Brissinger again because I read them 15 years ago and don't remember anything, and I do want to read Murtagh. And I'm about halfway through Inheritance again. So Aragon itself is actually immune from this. So contrary to what yours is, it doesn't happen in the beginning. But I
Uh-huh.
love those books. They are generally, it's between them and the expansion, my favorite books of all time. I love them. However, for those who haven't read this, towards the end of the original book Aragon, they meet an elf named Arya, who is then one of the like the main characters are Aragon and Saphira. The Saphira is the dragon. Um, Probably the next level of like main characters. Arya is probably actually the very next one, and then you got a few others that are kind of in that like almost secondary protagonists thing, right? His cousin Rorid would be the next one, but then Arya actually. So, surprise, being I think he's 16 in the first book and probably 18 or 19 by the end of the by the end of Inheritance. Um, Surprise, being a horny teenager, he starts to develop feelings for Arya because she's an elf, so of course she's
Yeah,
naturally
it's an elf,
quite
naturally.
lovely and all that stuff. And she kind of rebuts his advances all the time, right? But he always seems to make an attempt at some point. And I understand these are young adult novels, so I'm not saying he's trying to like sneak into her cot at night and have his way, but he's continually trying to start a relationship with her and starting to say like, hey, we can be a thing. And she's always saying like she is a particularly um what's the word stoic character. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
she is, and there's reasons for that. I mean, they do go into it, and actually, the first time you really meet her, you actually pretty much find out why. Um, but she's constantly rebutting him, and she's like, "Hey, I am a species with, I mean, they're elf, they're immortal, and you are not." And now by the end, he becomes semi elf like, and being a rider as he is, he has longer lifespan anyway. But he still won't live to be thousands of years old like she is, assuming she doesn't die in
Right.
battle, of course. Um, And so, like I said, he's at this point maybe at 19 or 20, right? She is, even though having the features of a like maybe in her low 20s, somewhere on there, right? Like young, or I mean rather like a young adult, basically. Not young adult, that's a early adult, I guess, probably the way to put it. She's like 120 years old, right? So, and she tells him, she's like, I've just way older than you, right? And he just constantly pushes the issue, even though it constantly rebuts him, and he's constantly bothered. And then Saphira has to constantly uh, console him, and then the other friends that he has are always trying to be like, "Hey, man, this is not a good idea." And he fucking goes and does it anyway, and like he just can't help himself. And like they're not actually, these are told in third person. I had to think for a second. Yeah, they're told in third person. Um, but it goes through his like inner monologues all the time, right? And he even tells himself this is a bad idea, and he goes and does it, and then it results in him being sad for a while, and then somebody having to cheer him up, and like it's like, dude, how many times do we have to go through this? You guys are in a war against a magician that you effectively don't even know if you can defeat, and you're worried about getting laid, right? Without actually saying that, but it's basically the gist of it. Like he's trying to start a romance with her, and it's like, dude, this is just, it's not gonna happen. And now I will say, I don't remember how this goes, but the one guy I work with, actually, I found out he did read them, and actually he was all excited when Murtag came out and kind of told me what things were kind of happening in it. And that's when I was like, man, I really did reread these, so I can actually read that. And he did say, because I was like, I don't remember what it was I saw, but it said something about Aragon's like failed attempt at a relationship or whatever. Or I'm sorry, Aragon's relationship that was strained. And I was like, he didn't have one. I was like, and he was like, well, they kind of did. I'm like, well, I'm halfway through the book as of now, and there definitely is still no relationship there, unless you look at it from one direction. But nonetheless, that's it, right? It's like, dude, just know when to take no for an answer, because you've shot your shot and you've missed your shot very many times now.
Right.
It's not gonna happen. And plus, actually, at one point, this would be in Brissinger. Um, he gets effectively cursed by a creature. It's never directly said if the curse is actually true or not, but it kind of is, because everything that the creature said does in weird ways over the span of time basically come to pass, right? And one of them was something about. No, I'm mixing up my facts. Actually, never mind. Ignore that. That's not true. What I said is not true. That creature had nothing to do with this. It was a prediction from actually the first book from one of the other characters. And I'm just like, and it's just like, dude, it's not going to happen. But the curse that I was referencing, basically what it says is that he's going to like leave. So the country, continent, whatever you want to call it, that they're in, it's called Allegazia, and it basically says like when it's cursing him, it says like, yeah, you'll never find respite here or something like that. It basically ends up being true because to reestablish like the race, he basically ends up leaving it and all that stuff. And it's like, so why are you pursuing this? Right. So, but very long story short, it's like, man, it doesn't come up often. So it's not like what you said where it's happening all the time. Like,
yeah, it's still annoying.
It's like twice a book, and it's like, all right, man, you just take no for an answer here. Let's go.
Yeah,
go fight someone instead. It's way cooler when you do that, you know.
I like it. Let's see. Krista's got something here. As a weeb, I was always bothered when they would make an anime when only a few volumes of manga were out. There it is. There's the cup. Then years later, they make a manga accurate anime, and it's usually so much better. Yeah.
I have to take your word for that one on Krista. I'm sorry.
I do too, because I've just recently. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can get some. Excuse me. Hey, I'm talking to you. Can you grab me a fortune cookie?
Oh, you forgot your.
I forgot my fortune. Sorry.
F's in the chat, everyone. F.
I just noticed go. The missus was up, so I was like, can you do something? But. Yeah, so I've watched anime. I love anime, but I haven't gotten into it deep enough to reach. Although I've started reading Solo Leveling, the manga, I haven't really read much manga enough to get to this question for better. Thank you for better knowledge per se on it. Sadly, but I can see where. That would definitely.
Actually, that's it. I did say I'd have to take her opinion on it. I actually know it's true because she's told me that 1,000 times. Is it Black Butler? You said, Krista, that is way behind the actual show at this point. I forget which one you told me. There's one she told me they're so far behind now.
Nissa also said, or in the 90s when they added so much filler that wasn't in the manga. Sailor Moon, yeah. I can see that. I can see that for sure.
Krista said it is Black Butler. That's what I thought it was.
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely want to read more manga. I've got a few Delicious in Dungeon, which I love that anime.
That's one on Netflix, Leveling. Right?
Yes, okay. It's
my wife watched that.
If there was an anime made about me, that is it, because you go in dungeons, you kill things, and you cook them. And it's like, and I will find myself watching it and I'll be like, damn, that looks really good. I want like skeleton eyeball or whatever.
Remember how good the food in Final Fantasy 15 looked?
Picturesque.
Yeah, it was like this. Whatever you're cooking, man, we need to have this in real life because this is good.
It was was it Dragon's Dogma 2 where when you're cooking,
yes,
they actually show someone cooking?
Yeah. They're cooking like a filet mignon.
People when it first was like people were showing videos, they were like, holy shit, those graphics are amazing. And it even got me at the start. I was like, no way. But I remember what was it? Monster Hunter Wilds had amazing not Wilds, that's what's coming out. Monster Hunter Iceborne or whatever. Had some fantastic looking food. Final Fantasy 15. I love stuff like that. It's so simple, but those little details I love. Definitely.
How do we even get into talking about cooking in games?
Oh, Delicious in Dungeon.
Is that the anime? That's right. I was like, where did that even come from?
I know. I mean, we are out of left field a lot on this podcast, but yeah, that was still. So I've been reading some Solo Leveling, which is really good. That anime, I really like that anime. I need to read Demon Hunter because because that show's pretty good. But
it's not really a manga. It kind of is. But I think I still have it up. No, I put it down. Never mind. I had those 3 Ronin of Okanes posted up there. That I put up there and I forgot to take it down. But I actually need to read those. That said, I probably want to read since I'm stupid. When I kickstarted those, you get a PDF automatically. I'd probably read the PDF. That way I didn't have to open them. but I wanted the physical ones anyway.
Yep. Anything else you want to talk about? Any news or anything? Or
just real quick. I mean, I don't want to go into it because we're running a little long here, but looking to see how the console version of Black Myth Wukong comes out. Chris, I don't know if it's a game you would like, but I think it's a game you would like to watch because it's all Chinese mythology, and it looks
looks fantastic. And they came out saying that it hopefully on the PS5 will run at 1440p at 60 frames, which for an Unreal 5, actually for any game that has been released on console, 1440p at 60 frames is damn good, honestly.
Yeah, 1440 is fine. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
If Damn Rebirth ran at 1440, we'd have been in good shape.
Yeah. But I was looking at benchmarks because people only got PC codes, which is I automatically start thinking about. Oh yeah. Krista talking about. Did you guys talk about the fail of Borderlands movie? I will talk about that actually after the Wukong. I don't care how long this goes. So yeah, Wukong does look really good. PC only codes, but I did go to the benchmarks, and at first I was only looking at 4090 benchmarks for the NVIDIA, and it's struggling, like even with the DLSS. But I did notice some people were putting up starting 4070 cards, and they were actually on par and sometimes better. So I think it might be a 4090 driver problem or something.
I also saw, who was it? Was it Push Square maybe said that they were running it on a 3080? Basically, whoever, no, you know it wasn't Push Square because it was a video I was watching. Oh, Noisy Pixel, that's who it was. He said what his system was, and it was effectively mine. He said 30 gig of RAM, 3080, and he didn't say exactly what processor, but he said an i9, which is what I have. And he said he did not even mention performance issues. So I think you're right.
Yeah, I think it's more of a driver issue, which, but it seems like the game itself is solid, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not. I will probably. I said I'm not going to get it. I'm probably gonna fucking get it. So I'm sure
we both knew that.
But yeah, we'll talk about it next week for sure. And I'm probably gonna get it on PC just because I can use my controller on there. I don't know. Maybe. I think I'll wait and see how it runs on PS5, and hopefully it does run.
Honestly, I might get it do, but I did pre-order it, and I'm like, I'm too lazy to.
Yeah.
Being it's not downloaded, Sony probably would refund it, but they can be assholes about that.
They can, yeah.
But usually if you haven't installed it, they usually won't give you a hard time. And obviously it's not out yet, and it hasn't gone up for preload that I'm aware of. So I probably could, but I'm like, the hell, I'll take a shot because even if it's slightly less performance, it's the kind of game I don't want to play.
Yeah, and if anything, it's just gonna it'll be fixed performance wise.
Yeah.
And then to jump into Borderlands real quickly, because I love Borderlands. It was what, $150 million to make, 120, with a $60 million advertisement or something. So what, you're looking at 180 total, and in its first weekend it made 8.8 million, which has got to be one of the worst flops in history. Never mind video game to movie, but I could tell right from that first trailer that it was going to be shit. Tiny Tina was done so dirty, and she's my favorite character, and there was no magic in any of the trailers that I've seen. It was clearly, let's get these named actors in here and just see how it goes. And obviously it just didn't work. And then I thought I saw it was right around the same timeline as the first Borderlands or something. I don't know, somewhere in the timeline.
I think it retells the first game in various ways. I think is what it was.
Yeah, it's something like
Just
that.
not
But
even
then
close to how it
people
actually happened in the game.
no, and people were saying they were like, why are characters from other
Mm,
games that weren't in the first game in this movie? So obviously it's just they don't care. They just took the IP and
mhm.
ran with it. And you had said, and after thinking about it, like I had first said, I was like, it's Borderlands. Just it can be easy. Like just go out, kill a bunch of shit, whatever. But then you had stated and made your case about how like no, it just can't really
Yeah, but
cross over.
me and Nate actually talked about it Saturday, I think it was. And we were both in agreement. It was that's not an IP that ever should have
Yeah,
been a movie. Like even if they made the best movie possible, I don't think the Borderlands would work as a movie. And I'm not one of those. It's like nothing game should be a movie. That's stupid. But
yeah,
Borderlands is not one that I think translates to a non-interactive medium. And like we said, like the guns and the number of guns and the stupidity of the guns and the silliness of the characters and the world and all that stuff, that is what makes Borderlands what
right.
it is. Trying to tell like a regular story without any interactive aspect of it is never going to work for what that is. It's not that kind of story. It's not that kind of world.
Yeah. And like I said, it really doesn't cross over. The only way I can think it would cross over entertainment wise on the big screen or just a TV screen, not with a controller, is maybe some sort of like anime style cartoon. But even then, I just don't think it would just do it
Well,
justice.
and if you were going to do it, which I agree with you, you would have to do something like that. Like a live
Right.
action movie, I don't think would work because
No.
Borderlands is also intentionally stylized,
Yeah.
right? Like that's like its visual appearance.
Yeah.
Um, um, if you were to do it, I don't think you could do it about the stories of the games. You would have to do more like
It'd have to be
Handsome
something
Jack's
new.
background, or I mean, I know Handsome
Right.
Jack's background is told in what is it,
Yeah. But
the
it would
Tale
have
from
to
the
be a
Borderlands or whatever,
side offshoot,
something like
something.
that. Yeah,
Yep.
you couldn't tell the story of the actual
No.
what do they call them?
Because
Vaults,
you're gonna get
whatever.
players like myself and others nitpicking the shit out of it. So you're already doing yourself a disservice before it's even known if it was bad. But oh god, Tiny Tina, I'm so sorry. Did her so dirty. Yeah. So that I haven't seen it yet. I'll probably watch it whenever it comes out, just to say I did. But I don't know. I'm
I
not
won't.
looking forward to it
No,
at all.
I won't. So you'll be watching by
Uh,
yourself.
It'll probably be something that maybe like on my second monitor type of thing, maybe while as I'm
Mhm,
playing something. But
mhm,
I it sucks that it's bad because I love the IP, but
mhm.
from the very first trailer, we all knew it was going to be.
It,
I don't
it
think
didn't.
anybody was
It didn't do the
excited.
IP any favors, that's for sure. Although
No, no.
it,
Apparently, sales
it,
did go up, but
in
of the game,
between his childish rants on Twitter, Randy Pitchford apparently did hint that they'll be announcing 4 at theoretically at Gamescom here next
yeah,
week.
because it was heavily rumored that it was going to be shown at Summerfest.
Oh,
Uh,
really? I
yeah.
had not seen that.
Mhm. Yeah, so I was expecting to see it because a few people said it was gonna be there, but it didn't show up, so,
It
as
seems
of
almost for sure like it's going to be shown next week at Opening Night Live on Tuesday.
yeah, which could be a good thing to get that taste out, hopefully, but,
Yeah,
um,
that's a good point. Actually, they probably want to do it sooner rather than later at this point to
yeah.
get like a positive image of Borderlands. But
Yeah,
that's a good point,
something
actually.
positive.
Yeah.
Um, so hopefully they do because I love Borderlands. Do you remember, though, still going here. It was on a Game Informer of when they first announced the first Borderlands, and it wasn't even cell shaded. It was actual graphics.
I do remember the. Oh, I don't remember it on Game 4, but I remember the original Borderlands trailer. Yes,
Yeah,
it just had like a vehicle just like driving through the dunes and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But you're right. Like it didn't have a
No, it wasn't cell
didn't it
shaded
didn't
or
yeah, it wasn't
anything.
that at all. But then
And
it
thankfully,
disappeared because I think it did originally say that it had a million guns is what they said. Like
yeah,
they didn't say the million bazillion or whatever that they said when
right.
actually the version came out. Um, but I remember being interested because Gearbox had made was it Opposing
Brothers in
Force? I think
Arms.
they made and Brothers in Arms. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was like, well, actually, was Brothers in Arms out at that point? It might not have been. Yeah, that was the original Xbox game. It had to have been.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I actually like Gearbox, like, so I'm interested in this. And then it disappeared for like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And then when it came back, it had the stylized thing. And at first, everyone was like, "What the hell is this?" But then they were smart about it. They showed right off the bat it was goofy and dumb and
Yeah.
silly. Like,
Yep.
and then they had the original like Claptrap trailer, which was actually pretty funny, where it had him like giving the, what would you call it, like almost like a PR, or almost like an advertising speech, where he was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, when you get all the," I remember we used to quote it when I, 'cause that's actually when I worked at GameStop. We actually quoted it over and over because we thought it was hilarious, because he was like, he was talking about like what the actors wanted for their roles, and it was always something ridiculous, like going
Yeah.
to the moon for something. And he's like, "There's an ebb and a flow to it all," and it was actually really funny. It's like, where is that? Like, that's
Right.
what this is.
Yeah. Yeah, and thankfully they went with that cell shade look, because I mean, it could have caught on as well, but I don't think it would have. I don't think it would have caught on as hard as
No,
it
no,
did.
yeah, I think going stylized was the right move for sure,
Yeah,
because
it's so,
it helped emphasize the silliness of it.
yeah, and like, not to put it up against WoW or anything, but that style, like you could boot up Borderlands 1 right now, and yes, there's a lot of uh way of life features that
Mm,
aren't in there, but it's still a decent looking game
sure.
because of the
That's
art
that's the
style.
advantage to making something that's not a
Yeah,
realistic art style, is it looks better much longer that way.
right. But yeah, apparently the movie blows. I think it's why like 8% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is
Yeah. It was at
oh
0 for the
god.
first 30
Yeah, I
reviews or something
know.
like that.
Like I don't think I've ever seen that before. Uh Speaking of movies, super 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 excited. I think we said it at the beginning of for
Romulus.
Alien Romulus.
Yeah,
Oh
you have
my
to tell me
god.
how it is. I do wanna see that. I probably won't be able
So
to, but
hyped.
it looks very, very good. Like, me
So
not seeing it has nothing to do with not wanting to. I just don't think I'm gonna be able to get to the theater.
yeah, I am so hyped. That is one of the first, like, my parents were very like, "Go ahead, watch what you wanna watch." R-rated movies at, like, 5 years old. I was brought up on Rambo, Aliens, and Predator for my young life.
I've never
Um,
seen Predator 2, actually. I only ever saw the original one. From what
Predator
I
2 is good.
understand, that's not a bad way to do it. Really, actually, I've heard
It's
Predator
not
2 is awful.
terrible. Predator 2 is not bad. However,
The original one's amazing, though.
oh, yeah, Predator Badlands on Hulu,
That was the prequel one
phenomenal.
where they were in,
Yeah,
like
Native Americans and
yeah.
stuff are
I did hear that was very good.
phenomenal, phenomenal. So yeah, that one's really good.
Unpopular opinion, at least I think it is. Prometheus, good movie. I never saw Alien Covenant, but Prometheus was awesome and got a lot of hate it didn't deserve. I actually really like that movie.
Um, I am torn with Prometheus.
I told you it was an unpopular opinion.
No, because part of me really does not like it. You said you don't like it, right? Right?
No, no, I said I do.
Oh, okay.
I never saw Alien Covenant, but I like Prometheus a lot.
The cinematography and Fassbender and Prometheus, cream of the crop, beautiful. But yeah, it wasn't. The story was bland. I shouldn't say the story was bland. It was all Ridley Scott just trying to do something that I, I don't know. Alien Covenant was better, but
Oh wow,
I don't know.
but my friend Rob, the one I showed you earlier, he loved Prometheus and he did not like Alien Covenant.
Um,
But again, I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
yeah, Ridley Scott was just. I don't know what he was smoking with those two. I don't know. I like them because I'm an Alien fan, but I also don't like them. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a iffy subject for me with those ones. But Romulus seems to be getting not
Yes,
insanely good reviews, but very good
I've
reviews.
seen extremely positive response to it.
Yep.
It,
So, which
it,
is very
it
nice.
it's. I mean, I know obviously it's not Sigourney Weaver, but it's not about Ripley, right? Is it someone different?
No,
Okay.
no, it's set between Alien One and Aliens, but it's none of the
Yeah,
characters.
I
I've
think
tried to go
it's
in as
30 years
blind as
after Alien, I
possible.
believe, is what I saw.
Yeah, I've tried to go in as blind as possible.
Oh, that's true. What am I thinking? If it's between them, it couldn't be her because she's in like cryostasis the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Alien is set in 2122, and then Romulus is set in 2142. So 20 years. So
Okay, 20
yeah,
years.
other than that, I have stayed dry on the story because I'm trying to go in as blind
Yeah,
as
I
possible.
assume there can't be too many carryover characters because I guess you could
Yeah, I
have
think it's
you
I
could
think it's
have
a
what's his
completely
name, the
different
android,
thing,
who they
but
could theoretically make like 1,000 of
yeah,
them. But what's his name?
Bishop.
Bishop. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm gonna go see that with my dad, and I'm one of my earliest memories as me as a kid is us renting Aliens and watching it was me being little and seeing aliens blow up with guns and marines and yeah. So I'm pretty excited.
I didn't see it till I was a little bit. Well, I actually think I saw Aliens before I saw Alien, but I might be wrong about that. I didn't see it until I was a little bit
I
older.
think
Not that not that my parents didn't let me watch violent stuff, but
yeah.
I think they were like, yeah, you wouldn't even like this. But then I saw Aliens, and my dad's like, no, you might like this because there's obviously a lot of action in that. I mean, I was a kid.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I saw Aliens first as well.
okay. I,
Yeah, and
I
Aliens of course is
actually,
much slower, but
I mean, they're both amazing. I actually like Aliens better. I generally think Aliens might be one of the best sci-fi movies ever made.
it, I've always liked
It
them.
all
Mhm.
comes down to what you like better. I know that's not a completely like out of their opinion. It's just it's the one I like.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Like I think
I like the bigger world that James Cameron made
yeah,
out of the
I
universe.
think I like Aliens more, but I also massively respect the first one
Oh
for what
sure,
it
oh for
is.
sure. No, the first one's amazing.
So it's very I just fucking love the
The,
franchise. I should
the,
take a picture or something of the tattoo on my back, but
the pacing of the first one is actually just really interesting because
yeah.
it's not a movie that because you really think about it, like they encounter the the egg fairly early, and
Yep.
then the face hugger attaches to the one guy, and there's a good bit of time where the face hugger is just on his face, and they don't
Yeah.
know what's going on. Like
Yep.
it's a very slow movie, but
Yep.
it does like anticipation and stuff really really well.
Yeah. Super excited. Um but yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it for tonight. I think it's
Long show today.
I think yeah, which has been it's been great. Community's been awesome. Thank you everybody for showing up and talking and questions. I'll keep going with people talking and stuff. I love it. So thank you all for showing up and but I think it's all time for you guys to get your fortune read to you. So who's going first?
I have the last like 3 weeks, so you probably
Oh,
should
all
this time.
right, all right. And so I was like gone to Puerto Rico last week or this week, and these were about a week old before that. So these ones are probably a little stale, but we'll see.
I'm still off the same box as the first time, so
um, I'll still eat it though. I don't care. What do we got? A new project will lead to achievement. Yeah. All right. All right.
elegant surroundings will soon be yours. I guess I'm buying new
Oh.
collectibles, is what this means.
I
You
like
heard
it.
it
I
here,
like
folks. It's not my decision. The fortune cookie told me.
I know we came into this show and I was thinking it was going to be a short one because I personally didn't really have anything planned except for the segment that you had thought of, and now this is probably one of our the longest shows.
Yeah,
So thank you very much for everybody showing up, and I
yeah.
think it stated somewhere in here
Thanks for
that
a lot of people stuck around
yeah, it was
if
awesome.
not
So
the
yeah,
whole time. So
thank
thanks,
you
guys.
so much. It's been busy summer and stuff, so we've just been kind of doing the podcast and stuff. Next weekend's still a little bit busy, but after that should be pretty much my quiet time as it goes into winter. Work settles down a little bit, so hopefully now that we're more comfortable with doing this podcast and stuff, hopefully we'll be getting some more guests, possibly some interviews going on here. So hopefully some more fun stuff for you folks to look forward to, as well as us just being crazy on here. But yeah, that was an awesome question about GameStop. Fantastic.
Yeah, like I said, I have another one that I let go, but I was like, you know what, this is way more relevant because of the Game Informer
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
That's why I
I'll
figured I'll do this one now.
I'll definitely think of something a little bit better
It
next
doesn't
week.
have to be serious. It could be silly.
But yeah, it's awesome. So yeah, we should be back probably Friday next week. So if everybody wants to, pop by then, and I'll announce it. Check us out on our socials and everything. Speaking of socials, why don't you shout yours out there, Rick?
Butch4969, Twitter, Steam, PlayStation Network, Xbox, all of it.
Perfect. And then you can find us at Spreading the Nerd on X, Twitter, and Threads are. I'm pretty active over there on Threads at Ryuketsu2043. So yeah, thanks very much, everybody, and have a good night. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. If it looked like I flipped you off, that was not intentional. I'm sorry.